Hello, this is James Hudnall and another episode of Creative Secrets. This is episode 37, and this one is about earning a character's respect, because often characters need the respect of the reader, of the audience, and they don't get it. And the reason they don't get it is because of mistakes that the creator makes. The writer makes certain mistakes, and this is something that's a big problem nowadays. More so in the past, because it seems like a lot of writers today don't know what they're doing. I hate to say it, but it's sad. So I want to give you my impression and my opinion about this, so we can talk about how to make our characters better and make our stories more believable and likable. And our characters need to be characters that people care about, because unfortunately, a lot of fiction today, it's very difficult to really care about the characters at all. And so we can fix that. So let's talk about that now. As I've discussed in previous videos, I've explained how character development can be done and how it should be done. But what's really important is that you understand that a character that's your protagonist or hero, they need to be a character that people can identify with on some level. They can agree with on some level. Because if they don't, if they do things that the reader doesn't like, then they're going to lose empathy for that character. And when they lose empathy, then they lose interest in that character. They lose a desire to really care about that character or where they are going. It would seem rather obvious, but so many people today forget this simple truth. And more importantly, they don't understand that everything starts from a position of a blank slate. So whenever you meet a stranger for the first time, for example, you don't know anything about that stranger. Your interactions with that stranger will give you a perception of them. And as you get to know them better, you develop an understanding of who they are and what they're like. And the same goes for a story, except in a story you have much more control over the flow of information and the presentation and how people perceive that character. But it's a given that you won't understand them 100%. However, in real life, you can always be wrong about somebody. But in fiction, you have the possibility to control whether the audience gets the right information or not. And more importantly, you are the person who provides the information to the reader about that character so they can make a determination whether they like that character or not. So with that in mind, here's the mistake that a lot of modern writers make, and that is they introduce a character, and that character is either overpowered right off the bat, or they become overpowered right off the bat, and they don't earn it. Now, what I mean by earn it is this. If you look at, say, Spider-Man, you have a character who got these powers out of the blue from a radioactive spider bites him. He gets these powers. He learns to use them. Then he goes around having these adventures. But why he earned his place is that he had a traumatic event in his life. The death of his Uncle Ben, which was tangentially caused by him allowing a criminal to get away, because he didn't care at the time. If a criminal stole some money, he didn't care. And because of that, he discovered that if you don't effectively try to fix problems, if you don't try to stop crime from happening, then innocent people can be affected. So he has a moral position. That moral position drives him as a character, and it gives him a perspective. The same thing goes for Batman. Now, Batman has no superpowers, but he has immense wealth. He could just be a lazy bum if he wanted to, but he has devoted his whole life to fighting crime. Why? Because he had a traumatic event in his childhood, and it gave him a sort of mania, a desire to stop crime at all costs, to do whatever it takes to stop criminals. These are simplistic examples, but let me give you some examples of some current stuff that I think is pretty weak. There's a character in the new Star Wars series called Rey. We don't know anything about her. She's like way more powerful than any Jedi we've seen, and there's no training to speak of that she got, especially if you throw away the movie that came out last year, The Last Jedi. Then if you don't take that as canon, then she has even less training. But basically had all this immense power greater than Luke Skywalker, who's supposed to be like this incredible savior of the Force in the original series, and now he just seems like a eunuch who basically can do nothing compared to her. And then we don't really get a sense of her personality. She just doesn't seem very likable because she's just kind of always like complaining, and she doesn't have a lot of positive vibes coming off of her, and we're supposed to like her and care about her character. I mean, there's another example, Captain Marvel, in the new movie that came out, not the Shazam movie, but the Marvel movie. The character doesn't earn her powers. I mean, she basically gets her powers from being exposed to radiation from a spaceship, and then she just goes around trying to just push people around, basically. I mean, she does fight for what she believes in, etc., but it's generic and there's no real development, and the character is not fleshed out very well. I mean, we're asked to care about these characters in these movies today that generally are not developed very well. We don't have much information on them. They have unlikable personalities for the most part. I say unlikable simply because it's like they're there to prove a point of some kind, and it's just really just an angry statement without anything backing it up. And then on top of that, they have all this immense power that's way more powerful than other people have, but they don't use it in a way that's effective or clever or anything. They just use it to like show off how much more powerful they are, and they kind of bully people with it and stuff. I mean, that's just the opposite of a heroic character. A heroic character is somebody who doesn't abuse their power and who uses it when it's necessary, but they are not out to just show off. What these current things fail to do is understand the simple principle that you have to show the character in a good light, and you have to show them and their willingness to help people and to take risk their own life, even if necessary. That's a heroic thing to do. It's not a heroic thing to do to bully people, to go around acting like you're better than everyone and that you're a bigger badass than everyone. That's not a hero. That's somebody who is an anti-hero at best. And more importantly, when you show somebody willing to go out of their way to help people in some fashion, that's really a heroic action. It's not heroic to let people die and to not care about other people. And you see a lot of that in a lot of things these days, where people are just in it for themselves and they're selfish, and they don't show any character growth. And we're supposed to like them, we're supposed to care about them. That's not how it works. And yet this is something that we see too much of, I think, in a lot of fiction. When you have good fiction, you have characters go through a character growth, a character arc, where they improve on some level. And I've discussed that in other videos, but the point is, this is something you need to really think about when you're doing something, is how to make your character more relatable, how to make them sympathetic, empathetic, and somebody to like and care about, somebody that you would want to hang out with, somebody you want to be friends with, not somebody who's going to just push you around and lecture you and tell you how to think. That's not a hero. That's a tyrant, and that's something that we should avoid. So that's my 2 cents for today. This is James Hudnall. Please like this video. Please subscribe if you haven't done so. Please check the links in the description below, and I will talk to you later. Bye.